Hey, you ever stop and think, wow, that would make a great story? Same here. On Cat's Stories, we pull together short tales from life that'll make you laugh, think, or just go, yep, been there. My name's Kathleen and let's get started. And for our next post, am I the idiot for celebrating winning too much? So I got into Magic the Gathering about 5 months ago and have been hooked. I've made some friends playing at my local game store, and I've learned a lot. Every Monday the store hosts a tournament standard, $5 entry, 3 rounds. Winner gets the pot and store credit. I've made a few friends there who have been playing every week just like me. Let's call them Bob and Dan. Bob has met up with me to play casual matches and such, and we've generally gotten along. Bob and Dan, however, are hardcore at this game where I like to build my own decks. Bob plays tournament-winning decks made by pros, and Dan puts every top-performing meta card into his deck for a deck that's in total. To buy the singles, the cards cost about $400. My decks on average cost about $45. They win almost every week. There's currently a Cowboy Bebop promo where if you win, you get a special Cowboy Bebop-inspired standard card. I saw one of them talking about getting their 4th of just that 2-month periods card. They also commented that they play every week with store credit. They never have to shell out $5 to play anymore. I'm not bitter, but I want to win too. I'd like to get one of those cards. And I make my decks with the hopes they'll be able to compete for it. And I don't like feeling like new players are just handing their money over to these guys. This week, I finally did it. I went 30 with a deck I made. My final match was against Dan, who was a little salty. He complained that I got lucky and that he wasn't drawing good cards, which does happen fairly often in this game. When I won our best of 3, I was excited because I'd never gone 30 before, and I'd really wanted to. I put my hands in the air and said I did it, not loud, and explained that I'd never won a tourney before, so I'm happy to now. I was excited and found friends and told them I finally did it as well. Bob came over and said I haven't gone 12 in a while. It feels bad, which I responded to with, it doesn't feel good, does it? I was mainly just teasing, but to be honest, it feels a bit silly to complain about winning just one match when Bob goes 30 about half the weeks he plays. Also, usually 12 or 21 is my how well I do. They both left, and I texted Bob after I left, but he hasn't responded in a few days. I feel bad about the comment I made, and I wonder if I celebrated winning a bit too much for their tastes. I don't know if it's my fault for gloating or if it's their fault for being egotistical about the game, or if I'm overthinking all of this, or maybe I care too much about the game. My life has been a little stagnant lately, and that's my fault. TLDR celebrated winning a card game tournament. Wonder if my behavior doing so is upsetting to others. Edit: I was indeed overthinking. Nobody's upset with me. I just in the past missed some social cues and have seemed to be good at making people not like me. So I was worried about this. Thanks for your opinions. And for our next post, am I the idiot por cur de jara mi novio por fumar W33D? I'm a 16F and my boyfriend is 18M. We have known each other for 3 years and started as friends. We had a lot of history, sounds cringy, and then we became a couple 8 months ago. I love him very much and we have the best laughs together. We respect each other. We love each other equally. Maybe he does more than me and everything is great, but he smokes marijuana, and yes, I acknowledged it before we became a couple, and maybe I should have thought twice before accepting becoming his girlfriend, but I really hate it, and even though I've told him that I don't approve this because of his health or addiction, he can't stop it. He tried to do it less in a day, but it is no projection on just stopping. He had a lot of mental health issues in the past with really bad stuff. He told me that smoking really helped him to get out of that, and it makes me really happy seeing him recovering and evolving, but I just can't stand the non-stopping smoking. He doesn't do it in front of me, but it makes me feel uncomfortable knowing every hour we don't see each other he's getting high. I've really tried to see marijuana from his perspective, something positive. I tried to read about the medicinal help a person receives from this, but I just can't look at positively, especially when it's an addiction or it can lead to an addiction. I can't help but feel really guilty for thinking that it's the best if we are not together anymore, because I really can't help him. He doesn't want help. He doesn't think that he needs help, but I do. If you want to know, maybe part of the reason I don't like this action is because of my parents. They always teached me drugs are bad, and my mindset is that everyone more as a teenager tried at least one drug, and it's not bad, it's part of the experience of life, but addiction is when I draw the line, and I don't want my parents to find out he's getting high almost every day out of respect for them, and he understands it, but I can't keep it a secret forever. If we last I can answer any question, am I the idiot? And for our next post, am I the idiot because my boyfriend made me sleep on the couch so he could hang out with his bro? I'm having my house renovated by our landlord, and though I can stay there it's uncomfortable because there are people there all the time, so my boyfriend and I are pretty much living together for the past few months. When he was trying to find an apartment in the city because he had a shitty roommate and didn't feel cool at his place, I let him crash with me for a few months too. It was difficult for a bit because his sleeps do not match mine at all, and he has a lot of mood swings and bouts of depression, so I need to be a lot more available and supportive because I was with him for all his worst moments instead of him being able to calm down and regulate by himself when in moods we maybe wouldn't show other people. This seemed fair as I have my own issues, and like I said, I'm very in love with this person, so I'm trying not to feel guilty about being in his space so much because he makes it clear he wants me here and wants me to feel safe. Now that we're living together though, every time a friend of his stays over I go to my own place to give them privacy, and that means that with enough notice I can pack some things and organize my week differently. My commute to work, my groceries. Now my boyfriend has been acting manic and erratic the last few days. Every time I wake up he's moving things around, saying he feels crushed by all the things around him, that it causes him distress to see things messy. Sometimes the room is fully clean but there's a piece of furniture or wall decorations that have to go. He doesn't expect me to help him do all of this, but he's doing these manic tasks sometimes at 4 or 5 in the morning while I'm sleeping, and sometimes I can get a little overwhelmed even though I know it's not his fault. He just feels things intensely. Today we had a dinner booked with friends we meet every few weeks. We had already missed our last few meetups because he canceled last minute, and this is often the case because he wakes up around dinner time. Then he said he wasn't going again. He woke up super late and was nitpicking things to do in the house. I begged him to come with me and please think of it, do something else, but it was pointless. I left the house upset, said I would go myself, and set a boundary with myself that I wasn't going to cancel something I wanted to do to relax to help him manage a tantrum. After I left he invited a friend over to help. The friend was late and he ended up doing a lot of heavy lifting himself. He texted me and said the friend was staying over so he could stay later, which meant I would have to plan out my next stay with little notice. I came to meet them, we had a few drinks, I helped them with the last stuff and started to get super tired, but his friend had gotten into bed because he was cold and they were watching movies together now. He made up the couch for me and said I looked and was acting weird but didn't know how to respond. Am I the idiot that this is hurtful? How do I talk about it? And for our next post, am I the idiot for not inviting a close friend on a group trip? Disclaimer: I'm not from the US and English is not my first language, so apologies for mistakes. I work for a large company, think on the scale of Google, Microsoft, who hire many new recent university graduates every year. We have a group chat, regularly meet up as a big group, and are all friendly with each other. Now of this group, I only knew one girl, let's call her Amy, prior to being hired, as we went to university together, and even though we have very different interests, have stayed very good friends. About 3 months ago, I decided to start a book club and put a message in the larger chat asking if people wanted to join. About 5 people joined my group. Amy was not one of them, and we started book club. We read 3 books so far and meet once a month. Upon choosing our latest book, a historical fiction novel, one of the members of the club had a really good idea that we should visit the location the book is based on and do a historical tour, visit museums and heritage sites, and link it to our discussion. We all thought this was a really good idea and have planned out the whole trip, including bookings and tickets. We leave in 3 weeks. Amy found out about the trip and is really hurt I didn't invite her. She says a holiday sounds fun and she is close to the other girls in the book club, and Amy feels excluded because she won't be a part of this trip. She says the fact that I planned this all behind her back is very snaky and she wouldn't have excluded me like that. She mentioned how fun the nightlife is, ours, etc., and how it's going to look weird that we are all on holiday without her. Now we wouldn't be interested in doing any of these things. Some of the members of the club don't drink, and we were honestly just going for museums and to tie into the book we were reading. Unfortunately, we've already booked everything and we really don't have the availability to add another person. Furthermore, I did just want a chill bookish trip, not a girls' trip. Amy has become really upset and accused me of alienating her from her friends, and I'm actually feeling very guilty now and wondering if I'm just being stubborn and whether I should have told her about the trip from the beginning, and maybe she could have read the book and joined us. But as Amy doesn't like reading and hasn't been a member of the club, I didn't think she would be interested. But I can see how she feels alienated, and I do feel guilty. Am I the idiot? And that's a wrap for today's stories. If you had a favorite or something similar happened to you, drop it in the comments. I'd love to hear it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss what's coming next. See you soon. Kat signing off.